Hi everyone, watch this review here where they look at the Robin, Dr. Light, and Ravager Infinite Heroes 3-pack. As you'll notice, this is the new 75th anniversary packaging for the line. And actually, since I last talked about this line, there has been kind of a significant revamp. At one point, I wasn't really finding the product in stores at all. Like, they just basically sort of pulled it. I don't know if it's everywhere, but at least that's what I noticed. And then recently I started seeing these things in stores again. And I believe that's basically because the line's been slightly retooled. Actually, pretty slightly in some instances, because they're still repacking some of the older figures in the line under the new packaging and stuff, but in other cases they're taking parts of like older sculpts and stuff and then adding in new articulation. So because I mean, Ravager here looks a lot like the standard body for the female figures, except for we now have ball-jointed legs. I mean, you'll notice that she even has like the kind of standard arms with no elbow movement or anything, and then, you know, we still have like the lower bodies where you only have hinged movement, no ball joints. And this Robin looks like he's a straight repack. But yeah, let's get on to that in a second. You will notice that this does come with a pin, as do all the other 75th anniversary things, and it is Dr. Light. So yeah. Also, before I forget, on the back of the box we have neat little images of each of the characters, in addition to a revelation of their secret identities, their status, which in most cases is pretty obvious. But one thing, as I believe they've done often, they don't give you any information on the characters themselves. So let me give you a 2-second TV guide introduction to each character. Now this is the Tim Drake Robin. Unlike a lot of other previous Robins, he's not an orphan. He was just a kid who was smart enough to deduce Batman's true identity and bored enough to volunteer to be Robin. And in time, he was taken in by Batman. Of course, Robin is never quite complete until he's orphaned and adopted by Bruce Wayne, so his father ends up getting killed and hilarity ensues. Now over here is Dr. Light. Dr. Light's typically been sort of a B-list villain, but back around 2004-2005, during, I think it was called the Identity Crisis, it reveals that Dr. Light was once a serious menace and also a rapist. So he got mind raped with hilarious results, and then eventually he remembered what happened to him, and it spawned a whole lot of stuff. Over here is Ravager. This is actually the 4th or 5th Ravager. Rose Wilson, the daughter of Slade Wilson, Deathstroke. Now, she was, I mean, obviously, Deathstroke's probably like one of the worst parents ever. So most of her life, she was kind of like didn't even know he was his dad or anything. And then, you know, he just pops out of the blue. He takes her in, has her new family killed, and gives her a drug that makes her go psychotic with hilarious results, resulting in her pulling out one of her own eyes to create asymmetry between her and her father. So yeah, I actually do like this character quite a bit from the more recent comics I've read. Also, on the back we have some images of the other 3 packs available, most of which look like they're just repacks of previously released stuff. Now, I haven't really seen most of these in stores, but given that I picked this up from, I believe it was TJ Maxx, and TJ Maxx and Marshalls, you only really see them in once in a while. So they sort of catch the overflow from other stores, but this just ran me $6, which, you know, is a pretty cool price. But yeah, let's get this open. First off, we get this kind of cool diorama that was used as part of the display box. It comes out nice and clean. The inner blister isn't connected to it except for like by a little piece of tape or something, so it doesn't get damaged. Really neat display, but I'm not sure what the heck I'll do with it. I figure we'll look at Robin first, because he is just a repack, I believe. Let's compare him with one of the older figures, Captain Marvel. Why Captain Marvel? Because I can't find my Batman. But yeah, as you'll see, Just looks like the same old. In terms of articulation, this one will just have the basic ball-jointed shoulder, single joint elbow, waist articulation, head that moves, then hinged leg, single joint here at the knee, and that's it for articulation. Now, one of the things that really hurts this pack is the complete lack of accessories, because Ravager, as we all know, is a swordswoman, but she has no sword. And Tim Drake uses stuff like bow staffs and batarangs, and again, doesn't really have any of that stuff. But in terms of likeness, yeah, it's a fairly decent likeness. There's a soft rubbery material used for the cape, as opposed to these earlier ones, which I guess they did kind of use the soft, but the Batman I had used a thicker rubber, so it's a nice touch. Okay amount of detail, but honestly, he's not what I bought the pack for, although it's nice to have a Robin. Next up is Dr. Light. You know, obviously he and Ravager were my big reasons for buying the pack. I really like the look of the character design here, and I mean, even if you don't know who this character is, he just has a really evil look to him in terms of like a whole dark wizard thing going on or whatever, which again is kind of ironic considering he's Dr. Light. But yeah, he is a villain obviously, and he does sort of look like a sorcerer. A nice silvery, sort of metallic paint job here for the white portions we have, or silver portions. Now he looks like he has the sort of typical articulation, and in some ways he does. Like we just have typical hinged legs here instead of the ball jointed, and then normal waist, normal head, and then a ball jointed shoulder. But they've also decided to include a ball and socket here at the elbow, in addition to having another ball and socket down here at the ankle. Other than that, you know, it's just a... Oh wait, sorry. Also a ball and socket here at the knee. So yeah, I mean, that's a definite improvement, and, you know, this is a nicer looking sculpt, and, I mean, it doesn't scream as generic as some of the other ones do. It definitely is a nicer looking figure, and I'm happy I got this one. Finally, we have Ravager. Now, in Ravager's case, just when I was looking at package and stuff, I was just looking at this body, I was thinking this was just the typical DC Infinite Heroes female body, but then I noticed the fact that she had the ball-jointed legs. So it looks like they're kind of taking the sculpts and they're sort of chopping them up and then inserting a little bit different articulation, but other than that, you know, it's like the standard arms. Of course, she has an open hand here in case you want to give her a sword, if you can find a sword. She needs a sword, so I don't have a sword. I'll give her this. So yeah, now she's got a weapon. But yeah, in terms of articulation, we have a head that only seems to move side to side. The upper torso, again, only does side to side. Ball jointed shoulder. Kind of ball jointy leg. I mean, it's got one of those balls where you also have the rotation here on the thigh if you could ever get it to work. And then we have a sort of ball and socket again, or ball joint down here at the knee. And the ankle has no articulation, it's just sculpted in like that. But you know, decent looking sculpt. Okay paint. I mean, both this and the Dr. Light have a minor paint flaw, like you'll notice there's some speckling here. Although I don't know if it's deliberate, and then the paint seemed a little bit faded in places. So I had this in box for a while, and I wasn't gonna open it in case I found another one, but eventually the resistance wears down because you want to get these out, you want to have them displayed, toss them up next to the computer or whatever, and you know, I probably will leave Dr. Light over there for quite a while. Possibly also Ravager. But yeah, pretty decent looking. On the whole, I do think it's a pretty cool looking set, and you know, I would advise picking it up, but part of that's just because I do happen to like the Teen Titans. I believe the only other packs I've seen in stores so far were the Starfire Animal Man, Adam Strange. I don't know why Starfire always seems to get packed with Adam Strange. I don't know enough about Adam Strange to know if that's significant or anything, but you'll notice that that's what they did for the Classics release, which was only available on Matty Collector and I think one of the Comic Cons. Then I also saw the Parallax Sinestro John Stewart. Completely butchered that, I believe. I mean, I thought it looked okay, but it just wasn't interested enough to pick it up. The other stuff, haven't really seen. But yeah, they're definitely making improvements, and I am seeing these things in stores again in terms of single card. But it's just weird, like, for a while, like, everything was, like, sort of being clearanced out, and then just didn't have any shelf space, and now it is starting to reappear in stores, so... Until next time, folks.